Welcome to Geek Zone Wrestling, the podcast by two lifelong wrestling fans who just want to talk wrestling. As per usual, I am one of the hosts, Kyle,
I am the other host, Danny.
and even though we don't usually introduce ourselves, I thought, hey, since we don't usually, just in case you didn't know our names.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Although that seems like a clickbait question to me.
Yeah. We just got done watching WWE Backlash, and this is our, I don't want to say token review, but our usual review of PLEs,
No.
especially.
I'm going to go on record as saying this is our $1 million review.
Damn, we had to spend $1 million.
Yeah, because nobody else listens to us. And nobody
Shit.
sponsors us.
Shit.
So anyway, Backlash just went off the air. And we wanted to give you our take on it. See what you think. Hopefully we're not too far off from your feelings on it. But we'll see.
For starters, the match card was kind of small.
Yeah,
I
it
felt
wasn't
like it
huge.
was a
It-
minor. Like I felt like they've been pushing like the PLEs to have as many matches as possible, and this one was kind of just like a normal card.
Yeah, it paled in comparison to like Mania
Well, I mean, everything should pale in
and
comparison to
stuff.
Mania.
But like it did seem to have fewer matches and had, I guess, less action per se.
See, what I kind of like is it basically to me felt like a regular like a SmackDown or a Raw
Yeah, it kind of did.
in terms of the amount of competition. However, that gives the ability for greater match
Yeah,
potential.
they definitely pushed forward some storylines to the point where I'm looking forward to seeing where they go. But yeah,
So it's like number of matches, same as a weekly Raw or SmackDown,
yeah.
but the potential from those matches on the PLE was heightened for most of the matches. One of them was, well, I kind of feel like it's a one-off, but
So let's take it from the
right.
start.
First match was the first one,
Yes. Not the second one, but it was in fact the first one.
and it started off with, I mean, they started off big with the Fatal 4-Way for the United States Championship between Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, and Damian Priest.
This was the one that I figured was going to steal the show. I mean, it had all the potential in the world.
I wouldn't say it stole the show, but it put on a hell of one.
Right. But that's exactly what I was saying. I was expecting it to steal the show. It was good. It was one of the better matches on the card, but I don't feel like it completely and totally stole the show.
Honestly, I would have to say for me, I think it was the second best in my opinion, which
We'll
I
get to
really
that.
hate to say.
We'll get to that. But so the Fatal 4-Way kicked off Backlash, and it kicked it off in a big way. It was a really, really good match.
Everybody kind of got their licks in. It started off LA Knight was just decimating everybody, and then it was Priest, and it was McIntyre, and then it was Fatu, and then everybody was just beating down everybody.
And then Solo showed up with a new Bloodline-esque member.
I mean, we'll have to find out. Jeff Cobb,
Jeff
who,
Cobb showed up.
by the way, does not look like Jeff Cobb.
No, he looks like a Waka Waka Waini Fautu
Junior.
Jr.
But it ended up being that McIntyre during his devastation ended up hitting a Claymore on Damian Priest during a, you hit you, you hit you, you hit you, you hit you. And when he Claymored
East.
Damian Priest fell on top of LA Knight. McIntyre broke up the pin, and then Priest ended up doing the same to McIntyre, like maybe 3 minutes later. And then the two of them got pissed at each other and brawled all throughout the arena, while it was just left to be Fatu and Knight. And as Danny said, Fatu got assistance.
And he didn't seem real happy about that assistance, if I'm
No,
not mistaken.
no, he looked like, what the fuck you doing here solo?
Yeah, he seemed a bit
Miffed.
put out by it. He seemed miffed by it. He was like, "What the hell is this?"
It kind of felt like it's like, I don't need you to defend my championship. What are you doing?
But he's still pinned after the interference
Well,
cost LA Knight.
what's he supposed to do? Forfeit the title because
No, but I mean, like if he wanted to win of his own volition, he could have like picked up LA Knight and been like, okay, this isn't right. I'm gonna beat you my own way. But he opted to go ahead and pin
well,
and
he did hit his, you know, running hip thing, and then
the prettiest moonsault
you know,
ever.
the boing boing boing, whip, boom.
But I mean, all in all, he seemed really put out by the interference because even as Solo and his buddy were leaving, Jake was kind of staring him down like, what the hell is this?
And as he was walking back to the back, he walked between them, just sort of like looked back and forth at him, kept going, and then just kept glaring back at him like, I didn't need your help.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting in the fact that Solo doesn't seem to have faith in Jacob anymore. And Jacob seems to be getting more and more pissed with Solo about it. So I think we are growing closer and closer to the Solo, I hate you line.
Yep, most definitely. And all in all, everybody, they hit their spots well. They meshed together as a team. At first, I didn't like Fatu because he no sold everything.
Yeah.
I'm glad that seems to have died down. So I can actually start not hating him because I think it's just stupid.
I agree. I agree. I mean, but we said this during the PLE. Look where he came from. You didn't have to sell. I mean, you had to be a monster, a beast, and just obliterate everyone. And Penta's in the same category where he came from. He didn't have to, no, he didn't have to sell anything. He no sold pretty much everything when he first started, and now he's starting to learn how to actually sell stuff.
Um, should we move on to the next match, or do you have anything more to add on
Well,
the?
I want to at least grade the match.
Okay.
For me,
B.
yeah, for me, I was gonna say right around that B C minus area. I mean, it was a good match.
Wait, did you jump from a B to a C minus?
Yes,
God, that is a huge discrepancy.
it is, but it's open for that because of the interference, and because initially LA Knight was dominating everybody. If we're putting over Solo as this huge monster, how are you going to destroy him so early in the match? McIntyre, another big guy that they are posing as a menace. How do you dominate him so early in the match?
Same with Priest, really.
Priest, huge dude. How do you do that? and say, okay, these are our big, monstrous guys.
Well, for a second there, I thought you were going to compare him to Paul Heyman. Whew.
No, 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 no. He's not the big,
Big,
big man.
man.
That comes into play later.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that's why I'm giving it such a big range, is because there were some things that I really, really liked, and there were some things that I thought they could have done better. Like, if you're gonna have LA Knight have his, 5 minutes in the spotlight, make it later in the match.
When people are tired.
Yeah.
Well, I think the whole point in this was, having Fatu having the most durability out of everybody.
I
But the thing that really kind of irritated me was having Priest and McIntyre go fight in the crowd and just completely forget that they were in a title match.
yeah, that seemed a bit off too.
They played that off as they got so mad at each other they kind of forgot where they were and were just focused on beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
But it's like they've had 4 or 5 matches over the past year, and it's like how long can you really keep this going?
Well,
Like,
I feel like they're trying to build this into a future long-term story. And while I'm okay with that, I don't like that they did it at the expense of a title match.
I mean, it was just sort of a minor thing for me, but it's just I felt like that could have happened, you know, tomorrow night on not tomorrow night, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it could have happened on Raw, it could have happened on, any normal week. But in a PLE with a title on the line, the last thing I'm going to do is leave the match.
So, second match.
Second match, which was,
I was gonna let you. Thought we would alternate.
oh, go right ahead. I don't even remember. There was so much going on. I'm like, wait a minute, which was second, which was third, which was it was
Wasn't
it
wasn't
was
the
a lot.
second match Dominic and Penta?
Dominic and Penta. This was a fantastic match. Dominic came out with Judgment Day, but they stayed up at the ramp. And like the whole time I'm thinking, okay, Finn's going to interfere and cost Dom the title, and now Judgment Day is going to implode. And you said something completely different.
Mm-hmm. I said that Carlito and JD were going to try and help Dominic, and Finn was going to end up messing all that up.
You also said that Penta's outfit made him look like a Mexican Smurf.
I said Latin.
Oh, Latin Smurf. Okay, my bad. I take that back. At any rate, match was
But I loved the color. It's just I felt like there wasn't enough like black in there to separate the blues.
the match was fantastic. Like, you and I both commented that, above anybody else on the roster, especially right now, Dom has improved so much, not just even in ring, but in every aspect of what he does. And I'll be honest, I feel like he is one of the premier characters now for that brand,
Screw the brand, the company.
the
Like
company.
he is right up there with Braun Breaker in terms of future of the business, because as young as he is, he could do this for another 10, 15 years if his body holds out, or if you're anything like Orton, who the hell knows. But when you first saw him come up with Ray in like 2019 is more or less a manager, with hey, he's training And then in 22, he actually or in 2020, not 22, he started actually competing. You're like, oh man, you know, Rey Mysterio Jr. And then you see him, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Actually, technically, since Rey Mysterio and WCW was Rey Mysterio Jr., that would make Dominic Rey Mysterio Jr. Jr.
And then he gets in the ring, and you say,
What?
"Okay,
Like
okay."
that's not right. He sucks.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad
And
initially.
and I get that he was just learning, but it's like if they had faith in him to put him on the roster, like you would have thought he would have been better than that.
Yeah, you would have thought that he would have had a little bit more in his toolbox.
But in the 5 years that he has been there, he has learned how to have the charisma. He can play the crowd on cue.
He cannot
It,
say a word and play the crowd.
exactly. Like in the match with Penta, he did Penta's little strutted over to Penta, and then like jumped up and started like stomping on him.
Yeah,
And it's just little things like that that he knows how to press the buttons of the crowd. The likes of Cena or Orton or Triple H or Shawn Michaels or The Rock, or you know, guys who were on top of this business for very good reasons.
yeah, because they knew how to play the crowd like a fiddle.
He learned how to sell. Like he's pretty soon he might be able to do shit like Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, very
Like
easily.
he's not there right now, but
He's almost there. I mean,
he's
he sold some crazy bumps tonight.
uh, his move skills have improved. Like it's just every aspect of what you need in that business he's picking up on, and it looks like he legitimately is making an effort to be the best he can be, and it's to the point where he's now getting cheered.
Yeah. I mean, week
Dirty
after week.
Dom is getting cheered. The guy who, when he joined Judgment Day, got over as a heel without saying a word.
Yeah, he got booed out of stadiums
Like
just for showing up.
the only times he was able to get anything out were in interviews, backstage, or not even in the arena. Because when he was in the arena, he couldn't talk.
The
A-
crowd booed so loud that he couldn't get a word out edgewise.
And, putting him with Judgment Day was clearly the best thing that they could have ever done because he has learned so much in that time frame. And he became one of the top heels, I'd say, probably in the last 10 years.
And then something happened. He pinned Finn Balor at Mania, and the crowd went
Went wild.
ballistic.
And
I'm
like you pointed out, he got cheered so much he had to come back down the ramp and go back into the ring to put the title up because he was getting celebrated so much.
Yeah, he got his encore Mania moment.
And also, one thing that we were even talking about tonight, his ability to adapt other moves like he did in Oblivion
Yes, he
to
did an
Penta.
Oblivion tonight on the PLE.
And it's just he does that. He incorporated the Three Amigos. Now, granted, no one does it as well as Eddie, but of the other ones that have mocked the Three Amigos and Rhea and Liv, they neither one of them really did it as well.
No, not
Dom's
even
the only one
close.
who's actually made it somewhat close to being a tribute to Eddie, even though the whole point is, as heels, they're kind of making fun of him. But he's just managed to somehow incorporate other moves into his move set just out of the blue. Like you're not expecting it from him. He just like, oh hey, watch this, boom, and
Yeah,
you're
it
like,
blew me away
what
tonight
the
when he did
fuck?
that Oblivion. Like it that was the last thing I was expecting from him. Now, it should have been something that I expected because of his connection with Liv, but at the same time, I've never seen him do it before.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, boom, there it is.
And for being his first time, he executed it.
Wonderfully.
Oh my god. Like, it looked like exactly how Liv does it. And Liv doesn't even execute it all that well because it's such a difficult move to time.
Yeah.
You know, because you have to bounce in the right spot and then, like bounce backwards in the direction, like downward, that the other person is going to be facing. You have people of all different sizes.
And kudos to Penta for selling it as well, because he did an amazing job.
Well, and like, kudos to Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio for even being able to do that move at all. Because, like I said, it is not an easy move to pull off because there are a lot of variables that you can't really control.
Agreed wholeheartedly.
So,
1000%.
the fact that they even make it look somewhat believable is impressive. And, Penta's incredible, but I gotta say that Mexican Destroyer on the apron, the two of them together made that one look devastating.
Yeah, like on the side, on the outside of the ring, outside of the ropes, still on the apron, and Penta nails it.
And they,
Dom just goes flat like he's dead.
and they executed it so perfectly. It looked like that move legitimately could have just,
It looked like it killed
yeah.
Dom, literally.
It looked like it could have just snapped somebody's neck, compressed their spine, whatever. It, it was a legitimate. That one I think is honestly the one that stole the show, just because of the fact that there was a lot that you weren't expecting that you got
Right.
instead of the other way around.
I never thought I'd hear myself say it, but I think Dom stole the show. For
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
For me,
Well, I remember when he first came up and they were tag team champions, and I was like, I'm willing to give him a chance because he's new, and you're like, he sucks. Like, he's gonna really need to, get his act together because he's not, smooth. He's not graceful. He's not good on the mic. Well, it took him a few years, but damn.
it took him a few years, but I take back every word I ever said.
Well, I mean, technically, you did say he was going to need to get a lot better, and he did.
I
Clearly,
did.
he heard you.
I said he was going to need to up his game immensely. I said he was going to have to put a whole lot of time in to, if he ever wants to, get to any level near where his dad was. And he has done exactly that. Man, I am so impressed with Dom. I mean, we were even talking about it over the match. He, in my opinion, is probably the most improved wrestler in all of WWE history
The
in
only
such a quick a time.
the only reason I will not give you in all of history is because of the fact that he's only been in it for 5 years.
In 5 years' time, he has improved more than anybody I have ever seen in any amount of time. I am just absolutely blown away by Dom. His work ethic has spoken volumes to me.
Yeah. Not only that, but in this gimmick where he quote unquote, hates his dad, and he's doing such a great job of,
His deadbeat dad.
yeah, and he's doing such a great job of carrying on the legacy of his family, because his dad, his, I guess, great uncle,
Yep.
it's, his family came from wrestling. And I mean, I get, at his size, it's going to be difficult for him to do his dad's kind of thing.
I don't know what you're talking about, because he is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. He's the greatest Mysterio of all time.
He's also the greatest rapper of all time. Hell, he's the greatest shark of all time. And I don't mean like lone shark. I mean, he is like, great white, basking hammerhead, aquatic underwater shark. And yes, underwater and aquatic are the same goddamn thing, but still. Hell, he's the greatest meteor of all time.
especially when that meteor is like chicken nuggets.
Yeah. No, this meteor eats exclusively chicken tenders. Um,
Got to have those nuggies.
but yeah, it's just his insane ability to somehow magically soak this stuff up.
Yeah, and that is the perfect
It
description.
was very much on display tonight.
He has been a proverbial sponge. He has absolutely soaked it all in, and he has grown so much with it.
Yeah, and even like in his gimmick, he knows the right things to do to keep the gimmick going, but he also has been able to adapt when things weren't really working as well. He would just sort of like tweak it a little bit.
Well, case in point, you're the biggest heel in the industry. You get booed on the way in, and then you're getting cheered on the way out to the point where you have to give them an encore.
Yeah. Well, and it was like that again tonight.
Yeah, yeah, they were singing "Dirty, Dirty
Dude, they were
Dom,
literally
Dirty, Dirty Dom."
and they were literally half it was like John Cena. Half the crowd was chanting Penta and then the other half was like Dirty Dom.
Yeah, they were saying, "Let's go Penta, Dirty Dom. Let's
It's
go
like
Penta, Dirty Dom."
they didn't want to boo Penta, so they were cheering for Dominic.
It was outstanding. This was by far, in my eyes, the best match of the night.
Well, we didn't even get to the ending yet because we, in my opinion, rightfully so, were talking
Sidetracked. Yeah.
praises about Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
And
Sidetracked, but rightfully so.
um,
Absolutely.
if I may quote the band Matchbox 20, let's see how far we've come. Uh, so Judgment Day got involved. Carlito came down, distracted the referee. JD McDonough grabbed Penta on the outside. Finn was going to hit him, but then Finn's like, wait,
Hang on. Hang on.
hold
Hang
on a
on.
second. Went to grab a chair, went back around, and as he was going to go hit him with the chair, the ref's like, hey, what are you doing? He,
And then he
chucked the chair, and he's like, what do you mean? I'm not doing anything.
and then
They
the
all got,
referee threw out all of Judgment Day
yeah.
ejected him from the ringside.
And then as they were arguing, Penta does a over the top rope over the referee suicide tope, takes out both JD and Carlito. Finn mysteriously disappears.
Yeah, he mysteriously
Penta
was
goes
not there.
back in the ring and gets up on the top rope to do a high flying move on Dominic. Finn starts, arguing with the referee, and then El Grande Americano comes out and headbutts Penta with his iron padded mask.
Hey,
Penta,
there's no proof of that.
him knocking on it didn't give that
No,
away?
there's no proof of that. It could just be a mask, and that's his signature taunt is that he knocks on his mask.
Oh, and we're taunting.
Yes, and we're taunting.
And he's going to get a call the next day.
Such a Logan Paul move.
It's such a Logan Paul move. And then Penta goes down. Dom hits a frog, and
then
1, 2, 3
gets the pin
for the win-win. and as Dominic, is going up the ramp and everything, they pan El Grande Americano, and he's just down there like seductively lounging next to the ring,
head on his fist, elbow on the ground, laid across the floor, and
every now and then, just knocking on his mask.
And then they pan up to Judgment Day,
and
including Dom. And you pointed this out. You said, "Oh my God, look at Finn. He's pissed."
He was glaring, like looking at that. He wants Dominic to lose that title, if not to him, to somebody else that Finn can take it from. And then when they looked at Finn, he like put on a fake face, and then they panned away, and he went right back to his scowl. I just hit myself in the eye.
This was one of the best matches I've seen in a long time. Especially when it comes to Dom. Oh my God.
Just the sheer improvement. And he's not even like, he looks like he could still improve.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
like, if he's improved this much already, where's his ceiling?
I'm not sure he has one at this point. Like, maybe talk about that in about 5 or 10 years. Where is the ceiling? But right now, I don't think there is one. I think the sky's the limit for him, especially with his work ethic and his ability to just soak the stuff in, as you said.
Plus, he even like when like Rhea Ripley was injured, and the whole thing with like Liv was going on, and he kept getting caught in these like
Precarious
yeah,
positions.
it's like his comedic timing was even
It was on
improved.
point.
And it's just like, how in the hell did you somehow magically turn into such a freaking fantastic actor? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, when did that happen?
And he goes out to the ring in freaking cow print. Like, that shouldn't, it should look ridiculous, but somehow on him it fits.
Yeah,
It
somehow
doesn't
on
make sense. It's like Dusty Rhodes and polka dots.
yeah, somehow on Dom it's moving.
Like, you nor if anyone else went out in those polka dotted tights, you would have thought that it would have been just it ruined someone's career. But somehow Dusty Rhodes managed to overcome that and make it work. And somehow Dominic was just like, I want to be a cow, and they're just like, okay, that works.
No, it makes perfect sense. They're milking him for everything he's worth.
Oh yeah, well, he seems to be getting milked. Oh my god, he even has a mullet, and I can't hate him.
I is that is it? It's that bad.
Yes, he's that disgustingly. His growth and maturity as a WWE superstar has been such a grand improvement and something that is so worthy of praise. I can't hate him for having a mullet. I can hate the mullet, but I can't hate him for having it.
So grading of this match,
Oh, A plus.
A plus, plus, plus. It was fantastic.
The drama, even unlike in the first match, this drama made sense and it didn't deter anything but added. Now, granted, the whole thing with Solo and Jacob, but that was literally at the end of the match and barely had any play in the actual match itself.
The only thing that didn't make sense to me, like in it kind of did, but mostly didn't, was Americano
Well, just because he has a grudge against
against Lucha
luchadors,
Libres. Yeah,
which he is.
right. So that was the only thing that kind of stood out as a red herring to me. But at
Well,
the
yes,
same
there
time,
was red, but there was also white and blue.
but at the same time, I understood it when it happened, why it was happening.
And the funny thing is, it's like that's almost adding to Finn being pissed because it looked like Finn was trying to distract the ref so that Penta could hit a move on Dom.
Right.
And he was trying to disguise it as trying to help Dom, but really trying to help Penta. And then Americano interfered, and Finn's like, what the fuck?
Right?
You bastard.
So again, I'm loving Dom. I am loving El Grande Americano. Like, I could not have asked for a
And
better
I
storyline.
love Chad Gable too because like he'll be going through the back and people will be commenting. He'll be like, "It's not me," and then Adam Pearce will be like, "Hey Americano," and he'll answer and be like, I mean,
I
who?"
don't I don't understand what you're saying because
And it's like,
like
"Happy um Day of the Dead." Why can't I remember the holiday? Mayo, the Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo. Gracias. Like there's so many like inside jokes about it, and he plays it so freaking well.
What do you mean plays? I
He
have no
plays.
idea what you're talking about.
He plays.
Well, of course he plays. I mean, we all play
Yeah.
something. You and I play PlayStation, but like,
And I do it well
and
ish.
Chad Gable, he's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
Americano is also a very good wrestler. They are very similar in the fact that they are both good wrestlers, but two completely separate beings.
Anyway, the third match being the Gunther versus Pat
Pat
McAfee.
McAfee. So I give
That happened.
I give Pat McAfee all the credit in the world. He's got some chops, but he's clearly not a full timer. Like he botched in this match. Like
He usually does, and I think it's because he gets going too fast. And because he hasn't done this, so much, he doesn't have that natural reflex. Because basically what happens is he'll go to jump up on the top rope or jump over the top rope, and he won't jump high enough or he'll jump too far.
and this time he went to slingshot himself into the ring over the top rope, and his feet clipped the top rope, and he fell.
Now he caught himself, but again, I think he gets, too wrapped up in it, and he goes too fast. And like I said, he doesn't have the experience of, that feel of, hey, I do this. Like for a lot of guys, it's basically a reflex.
Yeah, they're like, okay, I'm up perfectly high enough. I can clear this. Or they say, oh, I didn't get up high enough. I'm gonna put my foot on the rope and jump in via the rope
Yeah.
itself.
And
But he doesn't
that's
have
just
that in ring presence.
his inexperience. This was his 8th match ever.
Well, and granted, he's an announcer, not a wrestler. So my hat's off to him for the match itself because he did a really good job in the match. He did a really good job of, you know, for all intents and purposes, selling what Gunther was pushing, and
Gunther
he,
even actually like sold him a little bit too.
yeah, he did, he did. Like McAfee put on a good match for an announcer. Gunther put on a great match for a heel, and for a heel that is just wanting to decimate a non wrestler that he just simply doesn't like. It was a great story. It was a great match. So yeah, I mean, McAfee put on a good show for what he is. Gunther, he's a consummate professional. Did a really good job of putting himself over as a heel throughout the match, and then did something really interesting at the end.
Well, before that, you know what else was interesting?
Go right ahead.
Michael Cole got involved.
I think somebody was calling for that before the match ever started.
Yeah.
Someone about my height, my weight, with my dashing good looks.
Okay, now I know it's a lie. No one's the same weight as you. But yeah, he, at first he was just cheering Pat on, which fine, whatever. But then he ended up grabbing Gunther's leg to try and help Pat get a pin.
Which is a very heel thing to do.
But he kept saying, Gunther, just end it, just end it, just end it. You've proved your point. You've beaten him enough. Just end it. And he was just trying to end the match.
Yeah, this is true. He was just trying to end the match.
And because he was worried that if it kept going, he was going to just like murder McAfee. I mean, obviously not literally.
Yeah, end his career in any stretch of the imagination.
He can't even announce anymore because he no longer has a voice. And then we get to The ending.
So the ending, Gunther ends up winning the match, choke out. After 2 times, the first time McAfee really did, he played off the whole I'm done, and then got back up and fought back for a minute, and then Gunther,
he padded up.
Yeah, he padded up or hulked up, and then Gunther finally put him down with that chokehold, and the referee called for the bell. So Cole gets in the ring to check on McAfee, and Gunther is still in the ring. So we're thinking he's going to do something and someone's going to come out. Initially, we were thinking it'd be like Goldberg, or, because rumor is that Goldberg, Gunther for SummerSlam or somewhere around that area.
Yeah, and Gunther was going to be Goldberg's retirement, and that's why they were just giving him like a McAfee, something that's a one-off,
Right.
because that way, once Goldberg's like officially ready to start that storyline, Gunther's available.
Right. But instead, what happened is Gunther stood there, waited for Cole to get McAfee up to his feet.
And now you're thinking like he's going to just attack them both. He's got that like maniacalish kind of look on his face off and on.
And instead, he looks McAfee in the eyes and just nods to him and exits the ring.
He sort of does like one of those like, bowing like nod things.
Like, you were good.
Like sign of respect, for an announcer, you're not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a really good showing.
And Cole and McAfee were in the ring like, the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, we were out of the ring like, the fuck?
That legitimately threw me for a loop.
It did me too. I was not expecting that from Gunther. I was not expecting any show of respect from him. But he did. And it was a wonderful gesture to a really, a good match for what it was.
It was kind of boring, but you have to take into effect that you've got Gunther, who's a very aggressive
full-time wrestler,
striker kind
former
of guy.
world champion,
and you've got McAfee, who's in his 8th total match in like 4 or 5 years of being in the company,
and he's basically just an announcer. So
Gunther kind of had to take it easy because of the fact of McAfee. I wouldn't even say he has ring rust. He has like ring unopened packaging.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Like the packaging's a little worn, but he's not fully out of the packaging yet.
Yeah, there might be a little tear in the corner.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and you could tell that Gunther was not being Gunther.
Yeah.
Like he was going easy because he was facing somebody that wasn't really up to the standards of a regular Gunther match.
Yeah, he is not a full-time wrestler, and it was very, very apparent. But for what it was, all in all, a good match. I'm going to give it a B-, just because I give McAfee credit for doing everything that he did in the ring tonight, and I give Gunther all the credit in the world for making it look good.
Or at least as good as he could.
Yeah.
Like obviously the spots with they were trading the slaps and stuff like happens in a Gunther match, but they were not very good slaps. Like McAfee couldn't sell the
chop.
He doesn't know how to do it properly.
He sold it okay a couple of times. Like there were a couple of times where Gunther hit him with it and he just dropped like a bag of
like when
bricks.
McAfee was giving him.
Yeah.
Like Gunther can't make McAfee's slapping look good.
No,
McAfee has to do that.
I agree with that.
Like, but McAfee also, he in that very beginning where he got like put in that arm wrench. and he did the roll forward, roll backwards, flip on his head thing. That was like,
The head spring.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he's got athletic talent, no doubt.
like you and I said, he's the Logan Paul of the announce
Announcer
team.
table.
You know, sick athletic ability.
For an announcer.
Yeah.
So for me, B minus. How about you?
I was going C plus.
Okay.
Just because of, as I said, obviously McAfee is not an actual guy. And like I said, it was boring at times. But I do give them both credit that they did the best that they possibly could, giving that they had 3 weeks build up for this.
Roughly, yeah.
And they've literally had no interaction with each other outside of that 3 week.
That we know of. I mean, they may have gone down to the performance center or, had some in-ring time together, but
Well, but I mean, you know what I
all in
mean.
all, yeah,
They've not squared off 4, 5, 6 times over their career before this storyline.
correct.
And given McAfee's inexperience, I feel like giving it a B or an A would be, adding too much to a nothing really career.
I can respect that.
But like, I give it a C plus because honestly, like, if McAfee was a regular competitor and that was his main line of work, I feel like they could have put on
A better show.
Oh yeah, a really good match.
Yeah.
Because then Gunther wouldn't have had to hold back, and McAfee wouldn't have been showing inexperience.
I can agree with this. That is a very good assessment. Moving on.
For the last time
Ever.
John Cena versus Randy Orton for the Undisputed Championship. This match was arguably pretty predictable.
It was. I mean, it was predictable yesterday that Orton was not going to win.
Oh, I knew Orton wasn't going to win from the beginning just because of the fact that
John Cena just won it.
Well, not only that, but like he said, he only has 28, 27 dates left. And he's like, I'm going to retire with this title. They're not going to have him drop it right after that.
Yeah. His whole gimmick
at the very
is
least, he'll get to like, the single digits. I have like 7 dates left, and then he'll lose it, and then like his last, 2 wrestling appearances will be trying to win it back and failing.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree.
If he doesn't lose like in his final match or even retire with it, and they, pull in a new title, I don't know what their plan is, but whatever their plan is, I don't see it happening before single digit.
That's an interesting thought. Do you think they will actually let him retire with that title?
I don't know. Like, the problem is, he says, they'll be the last time, right? But they have also, how many times have they, like, there used to be a World Heavyweight Championship. Then they got rid of it, and then they brought back a World Heavyweight Championship. It's the same title. It's not the same title, but it's the same title. I mean, obviously the belt is different, but it's literally the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
Well, I mean, the question derives from the fact that there is a saying in wrestling that they all go out on their back. And nobody leaves the business with the title.
But see, that's the thing. If he retires as champion, right? They, instead of making him vacate it, could just say that title's no longer valid.
They could.
I don't know what their plan is because and this is the issue with the undisputed championships is it always ends up,
Disputed.
they make an undisputed championship and then they come up with a new title. And then they merge them together, create an undisputed championship, and then they create another title. And then they merge them together and create an undisputed championship, and then they create another title. It's this never-ending cycle.
So here's one for you. Now that they're acquiring all these other entities, let's say TNA, AAA.
Well, they didn't acquire TNA.
Well, they didn't acquire
They have a
TNA,
working relationship with them.
Yeah, but I mean, they're making all of these steps in bringing in all these other groups. They could conceivably get rid of one of those titles because some of those other entities have titles that could be defended upon WWE television. For instance, I am told that Battleground is supposed to host Trick Williams versus Joe Hendry for the TNA World title, which would be the first time in history that a TNA championship has been defended on a WWE show.
Ah, yes, but it also wouldn't be the first time that a WWE and TNA have had, like, for example, the Hardy Boys came over to NXT and faced Fraxium for the NXT Tag Team titles, and then defended the TNA Tag Team titles on TNA to WWE superstars. So they're used to flip-flopping shows. It's just now they're
flip-flopping which title is being defended on said show.
Yeah, it's just, I think at this point they want, in the terms that they use, best for business. And I always thought that this would make more sense. If you have, say, Joe Hendry go from TNA over to WWE, people who didn't know TNA existed would be like, what?
There's another wrestling organization?
And then, like, you watch Joe Hendry, it's like, hey, man, this guy's funny. Hey, he's pretty good. Like, it's TNA wrestling. Okay. It's like, oh, wow, hey, I know him. And then, they gain fans from WWE.
Yeah, it's the rising tides raises all ships aspect.
Yeah. And, like, that's, funny enough, I think it was Cena once said, someone asked him about AEW, and he said that sometimes, competition is nice because, if you're the only one playing the game, you never have to level up. Now, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not like, I can't tell you the actual quote. Basically, he said competition's good because it gives you something to strive for. If you have a rivalry promotion, it doesn't have to be like, how, I'm anti AEW because I'm WWE. It just means that, you can compete with them and it doesn't have to be an unhealthy competition. It just gives you something to strive for.
More of a friendly rivalry.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a, how dare there be another company, we have to crush them.
Like the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah. Like, it could just be, hey, there's another show out there, they got better ratings than us, maybe we should do better. Like, see what we can do to improve. But if you don't have that competition, what need do you have to improve? Because what else are they going to watch?
This is true.
But I'm pretty sure it was Cena that was doing an interview and someone asked him about the whole, like, whether or not he thinks WWE can beat AEW or vice versa or whatever. And he's like, I think competition is a good thing. But, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. What were we talking about?
Well, we were talking about the switch over between
TNA
the titles.
and AEW. So, I mean, I think that if you're going to have them cross over, why not have, Joe Hendry come over and defend his championship on WWE programming. It'll get him publicity.
It'll get TNA publicity.
And you will have fans from WWE watching and the fans from TNA
watching WWE.
Yeah. If they have like Peacock or, USA or whatever it is that they are airing it on, I don't know which.
I think it's on Peacock.
Yeah. If they have that, then they can go over and it's like, wow, we have TNA and WWE fans watching. Win-win.
Yeah, I agree. But as it comes to the John Cena and Randy Orton match, is that a good enough reason to let Cena retire with the title?
I mean, I personally don't want him to. I think that's just the whole heel thing is, I'm going to retire with this title so that no one else can get it.
Well, the heel thing,
just his heel character.
Yeah, the heel thing is I'm going to keep this title until the day I die. But his gimmick has been, I'm going to ruin wrestling.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, that's not best for business, so that's not going to happen.
Right. In ruining wrestling, he's actually working to make it better.
Yeah, and like he said, they're going to rebuild. Yeah, I'm going to ruin wrestling, but there will be a new title, there will be a new champion, there will be more shows,
and it'll give all that much more credibility to the guy who saves it.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it was basically, this match was, a highlight reel of some of their best hits. Cena hitting an AA that Randy counters into an RKO.
Randy hitting a AA through a table.
Two.
Announce table and then another table.
Cena hit his 5-knuckle shuffle. Cena hit AAs. Orton hit RKOs.
Orton went for a punt.
Oh, wait, hold on. We haven't gotten there yet. Like, they both hit their, hype up.
Yeah.
Orton hit his stiff clothesline, power slam. Although I think Cena actually countered that. And
Cena hit his shoulder tackle.
And Orton countered that. Then ref went down. And then ref went down.
Yeah, 2 refs went down.
Ref went down. Well, no, first it was Chad Patton went down twice.
Yeah.
And he went down, got up, and ended up getting downed again. Then another ref came out, and then he got downed. All by Cena.
Cena hit the second one with the title.
Yeah.
The first one he
hit with Orton.
Randy into the referee into the steel steps.
First he hit Randy into him and knocked him down. Then he hit Randy into him, which knocked him down into the steps. Then the third one came in. Cena went to hit Orton with the title, and he moved, and the ref got hit. And then Nick Aldis, Shane Helms, Jamie Noble, Daivari, and some other dude with the really stupid haircut all ran down to check on the ref.
As Randy Orton is pinning John Cena for like 14 seconds.
Yeah, and then he's pissed. He's like, I should be champion, yada, yada, yada. Why didn't you send another ref out? Blah, 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 blah. He's arguing with Aldis, and then hits Aldis with a third RKO. And then he hits Helms with an RKO.
And the guy with the stupid haircut.
And then Daivari. And then Jamie Noble.
He hit everyone with an RKO.
And then he went to do the punt. And as he's running up to hit Cena with the punt,
we see a guy with dreads slide into the ring and get in the
way.
way.
Thinking, oh man, Travis Scott. Nope, it was R-Truth.
It was R-Truth.
Trying to protect his childhood hero. And getting RKO.
Yeah, and you afterwards you see Randy Orton going to the ropes over toward R-Truth saying, Why?
And then Cena low blows him from behind.
Yeah. And finishes him off. Pins him. Gets the win.
Well, he finished him off by hitting him in the head with the title.
Yeah.
and then pinned him for like 9 seconds. And then all of a sudden, Chad Patton gets back up and he's like, 1, 2, 3. I don't want to get hit anymore.
So Cena keeps his title. Predictable.
Yeah.
I mean, still fun to watch because,
Nostalgia City.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, 25 years of those two guys. I mean, until Cena went to Hollywood, they literally had parallel careers.
Yeah.
They were training together in OVW. They debuted the same year. They raised into the main event the same time.
They
You know,
won world championships around the same time. They feuded with each other throughout the years.
it
It was wonderful to see, but it was, in fact, very predictable.
yeah.
Other than R-Truth.
Was it though?
Well, I mean, after the last few weeks, I was expecting Truth to have some part, but not that part. I wasn't expecting him to slide into the ring and have all that happen.
Who said that Truth would try and help Cena?
You did.
Exactly.
You did. I was thinking that
Of
it would
course, I didn't
be
think it was going to
more.
be tonight.
Yeah, I was
Like
thinking along the lines of Travis Scott or one of the Rock's people. I wasn't thinking
tonight. Yes,
R-Truth.
I was thinking R-Truth was going to, try and help Cena, like in a promo. So I'm exaggerating how much I predicted that part. I did predict R-Truth getting involved in Cena's storyline. So I wasn't wrong there. I was just wrong about when and how.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting it later down the road when, at some point R-Truth comes in and tries to help Cena and Cena yells at him and that whole never meet your heroes because they'll always let you down thing. And R-Truth would be let down and that'd lead to a match between R-Truth and Cena.
You really want R-Truth to dethrone Cena?
I do. I want R-Truth to win the world title from John Cena. I do. I want the child to beat the childhood hero.
Yeah, until he gets he'll get in the match and he'll be just about to win it, and then he'll get low blowed by Lil Jimmy, because Lil Jimmy sold his soul to The Rock.
He did? When did it happen?
My bad.
So your score for this match?
That's hard. I mean, it's really hard because there are a lot more factors in play for this match than any of the others because of the nostalgia. Like it's the last time ever. Now they say that, but we'll see. But at this point, with Cena only having like, what is it, like 25 more appearances left, it's unlikely that he would be feuding with anybody. The fact that it was in Orton's home in St. Louis, the, just the culmination of 25 years of their career. It was predictable. Had a few moments of unpredictability. Had a few moments of enjoyment, like Orton just going nuts and RKOing
Everybody.
the entire arena. I mean, even the little kid and the with the headpiece and all the braces in a wheelchair with gout. It's just, I don't know, because like on one hand, the predictability makes me want to downgrade, but the nostalgia factor makes me want to throw the predictability out the window, because it's like a recreation of some of their best moments. And then like the thing with RKO, 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 like that was freaking fun.
Yeah, the 8 RKOs in a row.
It's just there's so many things involved in scoring this. You
So
because I'm still trying to figure out.
for me, I'm gonna give it a C plus. Like I'm on the fence like you are because the teenager in me is like I loved seeing those two in the ring together again.
What do you mean a teenager in you?
I was a teenager when that was going on.
They debuted. No, I was 11. You were in 21. They debuted in 02. Now, granted, you saw them in OVW. I did not.
Yeah. So I mean, early on, it was awesome. I enjoyed seeing those two in the ring together, but the predictability of the whole thing, knowing, there's no shot that Orton wins this. I know how this is going to turn out. Detracted a lot for me. The unpredictable moments of the RKO's and R-Truth showing in.
Now, they were predictable once they all got in the ring.
Yeah, it was predictable once everybody was in the ring. Oh, they're getting RKO'd. But just, the whole scenario leading up to it. It had its moments, but I don't feel those moments made for a less predictable experience overall. So that's what weighed into my score. C plus for me. Good match, good story, but knowing that it's the last time, and I'm going to ask you a question in just a second about that too, because I had an interesting thought
Seconds
recently.
up.
I had an interesting thought recently
Careful
about it,
now.
but I'm going to wait till after you score.
I'm probably gonna have to give it a C. I mean, it's Cena Orton. I don't want to give it a C, but like I said, it's just there's a limit to how much nostalgia can eliminate the predictability. Like you and I were sitting here, and as things were happening, was like, oh, it's gonna happen with he's gonna do this, and it's like, and then it was happening. It's like,
And as always, we're calling things before Cole and Barrett.
but again, like we're calling things, and they're seeing it happen from like down low. We're getting a much better angle than they are. Um,
No, we're calling it before it even begins to
yeah,
occur.
it's like as soon as Cena picked him up for the A, it's like Orton's going to counter into an RKO. Boom, it happens. It's just
And then Cole says, RKO!
no, they couldn't even
Yeah,
tell.
they couldn't figure it out.
They're like, "Whoa, man, Cena's down."
They're both down.
And
I
then they
mean,
saw the replay, like, "Oh man, Randy Orton countered." It's like, "Yeah, no shit."
I want to give it more because of the nostalgia, but I can't because I've seen their A plus matches.
Yeah, this was definitely nothing compared to. I would probably go back to say like the 2010 to 2012,
Yeah.
like when Randy Orton was the peak unhinged. Um, and you like had the whole thing with Legacy, the whole thing with Nexus, like that. Nexus I think was like meh, but they were both like involved around that time, and it was just there was something about like superhero Cena versus unhinged Orton that was just classic, I guess.
It was. It was fantastic. That was a great time to be a wrestling fan.
I remember there I think 3 different occasions where they were both champion at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like one was World Heavyweight while the other was WWE, and they would be at a pay per view and they're just like holding the titles up in the ring next to each other, or like face to face. And it's just like knowing that the two of them literally had such a parallel, I don't want to say upbringing, but
Career.
yeah, it's just it was kind of cool for me. It's like you're literally parallel. You're one's on one brand, one's on the other. You're both the champion. It's like literally just watching a road.
Yep.
I just always thought that was super cool.
So you're giving tonight's match a C.
Yeah.
Okay, so here is the question I was going to pose to you. John Cena has gone on record of saying that after December, you will no longer see John Cena in the ring. What if he goes under a different name? He's a heel. That would be a very heel thing to do.
I feel like that's a clickbait question. That's a Logan Paul move. You're gonna get a call the next day.
But I mean, think about it. December hits. He loses the title. And he comes back in January and says, I'm not John Cena anymore. And he has some other, give him the prototype back, or Doctor of Thugonomics, something.
John Cena, Juan Cena.
I am no longer John Cena. So you technically you're not seeing John Cena.
He literally said, I will not, be in a ring again. Like the jorts are retired, everything's retired. I will be as an ambassador, kind of.
But as a heel move,
I don't know. I honestly I don't think that he would do that because I think he knows he can't.
well, I tend to agree, but I'm playing devil's advocate here because my brain goes in such a way that, a lot of these wrestlers, they hang around too long.
Really?
And,
I wouldn't have known that.
And like, he's a career wrestling dude that.
There are guys from the 70s that are still wrestling, dude.
Exactly. So like, I'm thinking
there are guys in their 70s that are still wrestling from the 70s.
What if at the end
and
of
they don't have the same flair?
What if the well played. What if at the end of December, Cena takes on a new character under his heel persona, and it's no longer John Cena that you're seeing in the ring. The jorts are gone, the shoes are gone, the colorful shirts are gone, the towel is gone, the hat is gone.
So what? He comes out in a freaking unitard?
Unitard or a suit. Or
who wrestles in a suit?
Well, I mean, he'd come out in a suit for his promos, and then God knows what for his matches. He could go the way of like Triple H, and Triple H used to come out with the whole Hunter Hearst Helmsley gimmick with the frilly tux looking stuff.
Yeah,
and then he'd have the long pants, and then he went to those just basically the underwear looking tights.
Yeah. I remember. I think I want to say it was The Rock. He was talking to Triple H, and he's like, go back to looking like the Terminator, like making fun of his like when he came out with the denim jacket with the leather sleeves.
Yeah.
And then actually would come out with the leather jacket at times too.
So I mean, that's just one of the thoughts that ran through my head. What if it's not John Cena that we see, but his alter ego, I guess, for lack of better terms.
Huh. I guess we'll have to find out. That would be an interesting
plot twist.
Yeah. What a twist!
What do you guys think? I'm curious to know your thoughts, because this has been wrestling around in my mind for a little bit, and
There's not much else up there to wrestle with it.
You're not wrong. So I'm kind of curious as to what anybody else thinks, if this is a work or if it's legitimately him retiring, period.
So he does it once a month?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's his time.
All right. Thank you for joining us, guys. Have a wonderful night, and we will be back with you next time.
Take care, y'all.